Does Jeff Sessions become a member of the resistance after he gets fired?
Of course.
Yeah. Is that what these people are like?
Well, I don't think, I'll be honest with you. Like, they're going to have to wheel Jeff Sessions out of there, I think, because all he's thinking about, all right, this is a good time to talk about this. Jeff Sessions has a very determined agenda. Man entered politics decades ago to become a prosecutor with the goal of disenfranchising black people and keeping them from voting. And by golly, he's not going to let go of that dream he's had. This is a guy who's got a vision, and he is not going to let go of it. Now, one of the ways that I think he thinks he's going to be able to do this is not just through strict voter disenfranchisement, but he's going to go back to the day where opium got outlawed because it was being used by those Chinese that they wanted to arrest back in the day. I think it's well known that the drug war and really drug laws have for years, decades, been used as a means of subjugating Black and Latino people in particular, but also, to be fair, other immigrants at different times. So Sessions has still got that agenda. It's reported yesterday, I guess it was, President Trump's task force on crime reduction and public safety, led by Jeff Sessions, is expected to release a report next week that criminal justice reform advocates fear will link marijuana to violent crime and recommend tougher sentences for those caught growing, selling, and smoking the plant. He asked for his initial recommendations no later than July 27th. That is Jeff Sessions. It will undertake a review of existing policies in the areas of charging, sentencing, and marijuana to ensure consistency within the department's overall strategy on reducing violent crime and with the administration goals and priorities, Sessions wrote at the time. The task force revolves around reducing violent crime, and Sessions and other DOJ officials have been out there for over the last month, explicitly the last couple of weeks, talking about how immigration and marijuana increases violent crime. This was from the director of the Brennan Center's Justice Program. In other words, they're setting the table, right? This committee is to marijuana laws what the so-called Election Integrity Committee is to disenfranchising voters. Fig leaf. In May, Sessions wrote a letter to congressional leaders asking them to do away with an amendment to the DOJ budget. And there is an amendment to the DOJ budget that prohibits the agency from using federal funds to prevent states from, quote, implementing their own state laws that authorize the use, distribution, and possession or cultivation of medical marijuana. I believe it will be unwise for Congress to restrict the discretion of the Department of Fund prosecutions, particularly in the midst of a historic drug epidemic and potentially long-term uptick in violent crime, said Sessions, or his letter. The point being that the DOJ's own budget inhibits its ability to impinge upon marijuana laws in the states. But because Jeff Sessions believes so strongly in states' rights, he wants lawmakers to do away that provision so that he can send some agents in to wrestle up certain particular types of people who may be engaging in marijuana use.
When I found out that the Klan was smoking the Negro's devil stick, it broke my heart.
Broke my heart. Sessions reportedly reestablished a controversial criminal asset seizure program ahead of the committee's recommendations. And local law enforcement leaders say a crackdown appears to be next. So in the 8 states, I guess 9, right? Well, not 9 technically, but 8 states and 1 district of Columbia where marijuana is legalized. There's like 21 or 22 where it's medical marijuana is legalized. There's a couple others. I don't know if those 8 states include like a place like Massachusetts, which has not figured out exactly how they're going to institute their legalization. I think that's happening July 1st of 2018.
If a bunch of goddamn Harvard professors want to do it in the sanctity of their own liberal homes, that's not my problem. But if you think I'm not going to use it as an excuse to imprison the entire black and brown population, well, you got another thing coming. And by the way, Mr. Trump, I have bigger desires and appetites than protecting your rickety little Sino-Soviet criminal operation.
Let me just amend your little piece about Harvard professors. If I'm going to amend that just a bit, because I do not recognize the sanctity of the beer summit.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, when I say Harvard professor, I mean white.
Yeah.
I don't mean
Henry
an
Louis
affirmative action Harvard professor.
Yeah.
Is not what I was talking about.
Yeah. Jimmy Reefer Cake. It's your office. I'm calling your office line.
Don't forget, Jimmy, Hillary is a real bitch. Am I right? Total milquetoast liberal. Now we're going to raise all the marijuana from the ground. Didn't go far enough for you, huh?
You know that you hear that metaphor, squashed earth policy? Well, guess what? It's not just a metaphor.
Yeah.
That actually was developed from an actual, we're going to go squashed earth.
It's not just a metaphor. I'm also a practitioner.
That's right.
And if you think, Mr. Trump, a little bit of humiliation is going to keep me from pursuing my neo-Confederate agenda, well, I haven't been a midget in the United States Senate attempting to reimpose segregation for decades for nothing. And by the way, your daughter looks very nice. You hear now?
Just remember, as I'm burning your crops, emails.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome if Jeff Sessions actually could terrify Trump with some like creepy Southern shit. It's kind of like, you have a good day now, Mr. President. Oh my God.
Yeah, but the problem is,
I can't fire that guy.
It's just like
Trump's motorcade breaks down in rural Alabama.
Dumb on dumb. It really is, though. They're both not very bright.
He just breaks down in rural. Man. Y'all have a good time with the Boy Scouts, you hear? I'm going to go purging those voter rolls you wanted me to get rid of, Mr. President.
I'll have you know, Mr. President, that when you were just making classified ads in the back of the Village Voice to exclude black people from your apartments, I was actually involved in the hard work of making sure they could barely vote.
I was making sure they didn't have the limbs to fill out the applications, Mr.
That's
President.
right.
So you and I had a difference of opinion.
I was keeping black men from keeping googly eyes on white women. So, welcome to the rodeo, rookie.
I didn't sit next to Cory Booker at some type of Rosa Parks ceremony for nothing.
Yeah. Why don't you call me when Coretta Scott takes time out of her day to say that you should not be appointed to anything?
I don't even think Coretta Scott King knew he gets like, it's like in a primary. It's like, you know, like when Obama would be like to Hillary Clinton, like, oh, lecture me, Hillary, when you're on the board of Walmart, I was organizing people. He's like, well, you were praising Jesse Jackson as a quote-unquote great leader. I was getting letters from Coretta Scott King saying that I was too racist for Reagan-era America.
Oh, excuse
so don't
me,
lecture me on suppressing the black man.
Oh, I'm sorry that you took all the time to sign that check for one smart alecky ad in the paper about some wilding black people in Central Park. I was out there corralling black people.
putting him in prison for nothing on trumped up charges, refusing to prosecute hate crimes, and you were, when you weren't, cozying up to David Dinkins complaining about your property values. Sorry if I'm not impressed.
You're writing polite ads in the New York Times while I'm going up to prosecutors and using the N-word on these people.
Yeah, and I never signed a check to the New York Times in my life.
Never. Perpetuating the Jew-run media.
So if you excuse me, Mr.
Man,
President.
I have to say, the apple has fallen far from the tree.
Your father, I liked your daddy. Your daddy was a good man. Me and all the Dago Wops really liked the work he did.
Let's get
That's
to
right.
the,
I'm Attorney General still.
You'll spend the entire show just doing Jeff Sessions' voice. Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos